Hello, welcome back to Brandon Media Strategies, session 7. How's everybody doing? Let's go over housekeeping. So a couple things, and I'm changing something. So it'll be a change for the good. So don't worry. I want to stall out where we are in this design process for 1 week, meaning I'm changing the assignments that we're going to kind of spend like 2 weeks on the logo. So we did those logo sketches, and then we designed like logo iterations and the poster. And I want to change some of that we're going to I want me as an instructor and you as designers to have more time where I can go back and forth with you. That's always a problem with these courses is it's like I hand it off to you and I don't see it for a week, and then we need to move forward, but it's very hard to be like, well, wait, I need you to work on this, and we don't want the projects to last 8 weeks. Everybody loses interest. So, but what I'm going to do is extend the projects by a week. And I'm going to do that now. So I have Thursday blacked out for now. I want to rewrite the assignment, and I went into, and I'm going to make one more change. If you've done it, don't worry. If you're working on it, I struck out this. I'm going to strike out the Spanish version as well. I mean, it's really just retypesetting. It's not a big deal. And I got to fix this. Why didn't I bold this stuff up in here? So the reason I'm telling you about this is that's why Thursday's not showing up. And then when it comes across in the next week, you're gonna be like, oh, this is kind of what we did. But I'm adding, we had in the first project, we had phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it actually, in this maybe what I call the most creative part of the process, I'm extending things by a week. I think we're better off if I have more time to get back and forth with you, and that we can really develop a super strong logo, and then a super strong poster, and then those feed into everything else. And then everything else is actually easy. So I'm going to take out, for the next project, we're not going to have a fourth project. We'll just have a third project. And that project will slow it down, and we'll have the project and logo development, then another logo development, then poster flyer, and then the what I call 1, 2, 3, and then the mock-ups. So I hope that all makes sense. That's why Thursday's not showing. I got to rewrite everything so it's cohesive by Thursday. So when I launch on Thursday, we all understand what's going on. And I have to just move some of the things around in Blackboard. So if you see weird things happen, no worries. This should be for the better. And it shouldn't screw anybody up. So I hope that makes sense. So I'll go in right after this. I'll strike through the Spanish version. So I want to see those logo versions. I want to see a poster. It can be a rough poster. And then I want to be able to have a week and be like, this is what you need to change. With here, work on this with the logo, and hopefully include a little more back and forth. So it's just not like a one chance in order to make adjustments, which is kind of what I hate about the online stuff. Is like, if you're here in person in classroom, you could work on it and say, hey, come over, take a look at this. And I can actually work on it with you. So that's why. But I'm just letting you know that in advance. The other housekeeping is next week. If you're in my history class next week, the college is closed on Wednesday. The college is open for student support on Thursday, but there are no classes on Thursday. But you are going to have a class on Thursday. I will record the class Thursday, probably before we meet, and it'll be ready and uploaded, and everything will be, that's next week. And I will have all this straightened out, and we'll be on a great path. And it'll still, we're just keeping that Thursday. Thursday's assignment is always the big multi-piece project. Tuesdays are always the smaller projects on the book reading, excuse me. So I will get that all straightened out. I just wanted to let you all know that, so you're not like, I know sometimes that can throw people off if they're used to a system. I'm going to throw you off on the system for not even a full week. It'll be like 4 days, and then everything will look, you won't even know what happened. I'm going to rewrite some stuff, but let me tell you, I am not a writer, and that is hard for me. And so I got to write it, and then I got to put in ChatGPT and be like, fix all my grammatical errors, and then it's got to go through and then fix their grammatical errors when they add weird shit and stuff like that. So please be patient with me over the next 4 days while I get things rearranged, and so we can have I can spend more time with you and your design iterations earlier on, and then let the other stuff can flow a little bit better. So I hope that makes sense. Does anybody have questions about that? You two? There's 2 people right now online. So, all right. Let's start up. All right. Now that that's done, spent 6 minutes talking about that. Don't forget about your attendance. Attendance stays as normal. It'll be the same for next week as well. Even though we don't meet on Thursday, we are going to have attendance for next week. That counts for the days. What is a thumbnail sketch? It's a sketch of my thumbnail. Thanks, Dad. It's a small, rough draft of a design. That's what it is. Millions. I'm stalling because I'm like, what the way to say this? We get so many people that come in and say they can't draw. And like, oh, I can't draw, but I'm a good designer. Yeah, that's true. You don't have to draw good to be a good designer. But what you want to be able to do is draw in order to be able to get your ideas out of your head faster. All that stuff I always show you when I draw in Photoshop, that's what that's about. I've had training. I've had drawing training. And so I maybe can draw better, but just the idea of getting something like like a rectangle and being able to just be like, there's one idea. I need another idea. I need another idea. Like, and to be able to fire those out, start to develop that as a designer. Go try to do 10. There's this, back in my day, when and this was like 10 years ago only, not even. When I was in graduate school, they had the shit like we had to do 100 thumbnails in a week for one project. Like 100 variations. And you get very good when you got to do 100 of something in a week. Like it was mind-boggling, and like you're like kind of like, I can't think of anything else. But it's just there to exercise your mind. But I would highly suggest you just learn how to do a little sketching. These drawings don't have to be great, but if you can just just get that idea out. And then sometimes the funny part is I need to draw out a bad idea to get it out of my head. So if I'm like, oh, this idea comes up, say like the custard festival, and it's the swirl where I said nobody should ever do a swirl because that's not. But I'm like, oh my God. I'll have to like literally draw it and then be like, okay. And then it goes out of my head. I know that's so weird. All right, let's not talk about me. Let's talk about you and design problems. What do I mean by design problems? Text on images and text on backgrounds. I have 2 different slides. It's basically the same info. I have a preferred and an unpreferred way. So this of course is the wrong way to do it. I see this all the time. People just type on top of a photo and don't think about it and don't look at like, where does it leave? Like, what? Why would this is so light? You can't even see the text. This happens all the time. I am not kidding you. You need to look at it and like step back, squint, like go, I just assume everybody uses a laptop, even though I don't. And I talk about not using a laptop and using a big screen all the time. Squint and walk away 10 feet from your computer and squint. Can you still see the letters? If not, there's a problem. Like you're trying to make the typography so legible, but you want to make it entertaining. So we could just do everything white paper, black page, black text, white paper, black text. We can read it, but it's not interesting. So we want to add an image. And now we can add text on top of images. But should we? Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we shouldn't be doing that. But if you are so inclined to be like, no, I think it'll look great, we need to find ways to do it. This way is sort of my unpreferred way, simply because what we start to do is introduce new design elements into a design. And the reason that's a problem is like your design as a whole should be cohesive. So if you introduce, say, these solid shapes in colors, use shapes in solid colors, then this color now needs to be introduced into the rest of your design system. Or for this class, we'll call it the brand system. So you end up having to be like, okay, I put these shapes over this, and I did it here. And if I have another piece, I need to do it there. And if I have another piece, I need to do it there. So think about when we do our process, you design, well, for this class, for the 3 projects, you design a poster, a 2-sided flyer, and then 3 other pieces. And those 3 other pieces, actually, the Instagram stays the same on each one of those. I need to change that up. I think it's the most commonly used one. I'm trying to think, like I always just try to think of another social media platform, but I don't know of one, and we can't do TikTok really. But eventually we're switching programs, some things, so you would be able to do a little movement, a little video. An After Effects thing, you could put on. But so that, what I'm saying is, like, if you add something to see over a photo on one piece, you have to integrate that design look into all the other pieces. And that's why I'm kind of like not a huge fan of doing this. Like, use a dark overlay. Well, then I got to dark overlay all the text everywhere to make it cohesive. This is the best one so far, is to use this one right here, which is just move the image around. Like, make sure you have more at the top here than you do anywhere else. If you do that, then you're not disturbing anything, and you can move on with life. Yeah, you have to, like, oh, this is easy now. Like, we have Photoshop, you just do it. Oh, add 3 inches to the top of my image, boom, 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 you're done. It's not a problem, right? Here, this, I don't know, like, use a white shaped overlay like this again. Then you kind of got to add this everywhere else. I just don't think like adding something really helps that if this piece needs to transition to other pieces. If it's a single one-off only, sure, this will work fine, but maybe it's not the best way to go about things. This is how I do it. Change the photo. If you want to put something on the photo, go in the Photoshop and adjust the photo. You can adjust a photo in such a way. So this also pertains to, like, then everybody, sorry, I have to go back to this because it made me think of it. Everybody's like, oh, then I'll put a outline around the text. Never. Don't outline around the text. That actually makes it even harder to read. Oh, I'll just, it's white, and so I'll put a black outline around the text. That's just making a bad, like, optical illusion, like one of those circle things, where it's a circle and a circle and a circle and a circle. And it actually makes things horrifically hard to read unless you can do it the correct way, in which I teach you in a few weeks how to do an actual correct drop shadow. But drop shadows are only used on titles, and then you do it in a totally different way. So the way to do it that I think is the 100% preferred way is just change the area of the photo so the type pops. Here, it's the same photo, right? Here it is. Here is photo, and these are wrong. And this is wrong. The W is getting lost in there. The R is getting lost in there. And here, maybe the R and the O, you may be saying like, oh, I can read that perfectly, but it could read better. Like it's on the edge. I couldn't find like the absolute perfect photo. But we run into this problem like, oh, okay, if black doesn't work, I'll try white. Well, maybe you have a photo where neither one popped the correct way. Or maybe like because of the design style, brand system that you're using, we can't use white types, we have to use black. Well, then all you do is you go in the Photoshop and you correct the background. Here, I just put like a gradient overlay from here to here, and from light to dark. And then here, this is dark to light. And nobody would be the wiser that something was altered on the photo. Nobody's ever like, oh, why does that area on the photo seem lighter? Like, because you don't have a reference previous to what's happening. What they're going to say is like, I can't read the text here. You know, like, I can't read the text. Here, they're not going to be like, oh, why is the background a little bit lighter and blurrier than it should be? No, they're going to read the word correct and move on and look at the little dog. Here, they're going to read it in white and be like, wow, I can really read that. It pops. So that's all I did. And this like little angle just shows you like what it was and what it is. And it's just a simple trick. The thing is we, as designers, it's not the first one to come to our mind because in my friend and co-teacher though, co-professor Chris Brzezinski and I don't typeset in Photoshop. Like I do photo effects in Photoshop, and I leave and or very high tech photo type, meaning like if I want the type to look like I type somebody's name underwater or it's a neon sign, I will do that in Photoshop, but I'll never just like typeset to typeset in Photoshop. And I don't think we're all used to that either. We will set up typesetting in InDesign or Illustrator, and then we bring in that image, and then we're like, the text is really hard to read. Okay, I'll do something goofy to make the text read better instead of just being like, oh, all I have to do is open Photoshop, like change the photo, save it, and then guess what? It automatically replaces the photo. You know what I mean? So you adjust the photo. And I do that all the time. I have every one of my images linked. So when I open it in Photoshop, I always use PSDs, the layered kind. I know they're big. They take up a lot of room, but I can have layers. And if I make a change on the photo, I make it on a separate layer. And all I do is hit save. And when I open up Illustrator, InDesign, blink, they're like, make sure you update your link. I'm like, please do. And I update that link and it changes it. And I can check it within a minute, rather than looking at the text and trying to do something goofy with the text and being like, well, I guess I'll add a drop shadow. Drop shadows do shit in a design. Why is it floating? Why do you need it? What's floating? Why is my type floating? I'll outline the text. Well, that just makes it super hard to read. It actually doesn't make it easier to read. And if you do that the wrong way, it makes the typography even worse as well. So that's my big one. If you're going to put stuff on a photo, you have to be willing to adjust the photo. I say this with logos. It's not just text. It's logos. Anything you place on that photo, it shouldn't blend in. You got to pop it off that photo. And if it's not popping off the photo, guess what? Adjust the photo. Do that, play around with, what's my favorite one? Levels? No, not levels. Curves. I always do curves. I get in there with my photo and I do some curves and check that out. There we are. Wow, I get angry about this. It's just like, so you know not what to do. And I know all these are like what not to do, but these are all things like these were developed with some of the other instructors of like and our advisory committee, people we meet with outside of here, of like, what are the worst infractions that you always see happening that we just kind of say like, just don't do this anymore. It's almost like that, you know, like, don't drive through a red light. But why? Well, you'll get in an accident. Why shouldn't I just put text on a photo? Because it's generally not going to read well, like, unless you manipulate it, you know. So just kind of weird stuff like that. All right, let's do a tiny design. I'm not going to do the graphic design discovery, but I'll talk about it, and I'll do my best to have one done for you for Thursday maybe. I'll show you where I'm at on Thursday. I always like to do these, show you that I can do the design as well as you do the design. This one is the easiest, the graphic design discovery C. I believe there's 4 in each group. Yeah. So we do discovery, a design discovery, a brand, and a media. There's 4 of each, and then there's a closer for each of them. So this is C. We're getting down to the end. Really pick, you got one more, so pick like a really like kick-ass visual style, movement, person, genre that you want to do for this. Again, the size changes and the correct program changes. I have it listed 3 times per assignment. And then when you set up the document, you should notice that it's a little bit different on each one. So you set up the document correctly. Why do we do this? You never know who's going to ask for what in what program. I was just watching a video by another designer, and they're talking about SVG files. I'm like, I've never asked for SVG file. And I was like, oh, you can export SVG straight from Illustrator. But he was talking, what if you're working in Fresco in a vector project and you don't have Illustrator? So Fresco is an app for iPad only, and it's free. You don't need an Adobe account. So if you have this free app and it can't create a SVG, how do you do it? And he taught of a way of another program. So you never know what client or what print vendor is going to want it and what preferred process. So you have to keep that in mind. So that's why we switch back and forth so often between InDesign and Illustrator, is that you have to know both programs really kind of evenly. We all have a preferred one, but I'll tell you this, I actually now probably work equally in both, more than I ever have in my life. InDesign back a decade ago maybe wasn't as easy to use as it is now. It's far more forgiving, or more like Illustrator. But back a decade ago, it was really meant for like multi-page book setup. Like you really only touched InDesign if you were doing a multi-page project. Now I use it all the time, even for a single page. I'm like, oh, I'll do InDesign. It's gonna be quick. Boom, 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 boom. So double check your sizes. Like I said, I'll jump around with this one. We know how to make a document. We know how to do the margin layer. We know how to do the crop marks by now. We've done it 6 times. And if you've been in my other class, you know how to do it. I will find a genre. Maybe I'll go with the genre. Who did I do? I did Aaron Draplin. I don't know if I did a movement on the first one. I don't know if I did the full first one. I'll try to do a genre. Vaporwave, the hot genre right now. It's not really, I think people just like the talk of it, but it looks like crap. It's not the 90s or whatever that was popular. I think people wanted Vaporwave to be popular, and it just didn't have a resurgence. Some things just don't resurge. But I will do an every designer needs to know. So I looked through this one. and I know what I want to do. So I'm going to open up the reading and I'm going to look through it. And this is all about like short-term memory. And you're like, well, Joel, why do we need to know about this? Because you're graphic designers and you're giving information to people, and it's the way you design it. You can design in chunks. So you chunk the information to make it easier to digest for the consumer. And that's what this section is all about. It's how your short-term memory works. Again, it's like 5 pages, super easy to read. Like what to do, say if, this, like if you do any kind of web stuff, don't ask people to remember information from one place to another, such as reading letters or numbers on one page and then entering them on another page. You know what solves that problem? Actually, for me, because I do that all the time, I have 2 screens. And so I have 2 different documents open. And that way I can work between the 2. That's also why it's super good as a graphic designer, sometimes having 2 screens is invaluable for me. And it's kind of the standard working system now. I think across the board, that if you were able to be so lucky as to have 2 screens like you could here at MATC inside the studio, you would see like, oh, I can have something over here and then something over here and look and read and see it fine. I'm going to do, as much as I do it, I'm going to do this. That's my quote. I don't usually like to pull light from that, but I didn't see it written anywhere else. But the chunking, and we refer to 3s and 4s. People can remember that. That's why your phone number is listed the way it is it's 334. You remember 3 numbers, you remember 3 numbers, you remember 4 numbers. We never say our phone number without the pauses, and that's to help us remember. Otherwise, you are setting yourself up to remember, 10 numbers? 11, they say 11 because if you add the 1 in there. So if somebody was like, here's my phone number, 712-569-4532. You'd be like, what? But we're like 712-569-4532. Like we break it up. Like, remember, I want you to remember 712-569. And then, so that's like the best way to remember it. So it's little parts, little chunks, and that's what we need to do for memory. And that all has to do with design. And then here's the other one. This is, I use this for teaching. People have to use the information to make it stick. That is why I go through very precisely on how to do things. And we repeat the process over and over and over and over and over. Instead of me just telling you, like, here's how to do it, we do it over and over and over. Here's the final little takeaway. Practice really does make perfect. If you're not practicing graphic design, you're not doing it over and over, you're not remembering what to do, you're not gonna get it. It's all about doing it over and over and over and over. Practice, practice, practice. Yeah, that's kind of what it's about. So let's do that one. So I copied my section. I'm gonna go back here. I'll do it quick because I have an idea. It made me laugh. And honestly, I did not do this well in advance. I did it in between the classes in my little bit of time. I looked at that document. I was like, oh, okay, that's the one I want to do. I know what I'm going to do. So our document is 6 inches wide by 4.5 inches tall. Again, I talk about this all the time. This is the way you're going to document. Somebody's going to say, hey, the document needs set up like this. And you just go through it and you do it. I'm making sure I'm on one page, create. With a little odd shape. I'm going to do the margin so I know where stuff shouldn't go, as our margin is our area of blockage. So this will be 5.5 by 4. Yep. Sorry. And then fill is there. And then stroke is magenta. Why magenta again? Because it's industry standard. We're gonna make sure it's perfectly centered. I'm gonna turn on my ruler and I'm gonna pull a guide so I know where the exact middle of my document lays in relationship to everything else. Then I will close that. I'll go up to the hamburger menu, the 3 lines, and we'll hit template. We got that down straight, and then I'll make one called crop marks. And I will make that box this big. I will make sure there's no stroke on it. It's 6x4. I felt it snap in. There's no stroke on it. I go to effects and I go to crop marks, and then I lock that one because we want that visible in the end. And then I'm going to make my typography. And I am going to make a background. I don't know if I'll necessarily have a background, but I'm going to introduce a background. And I spelled that wrong. It doesn't really matter, I guess, but it's going to bug me looking at it. Background. All right. Then I'm going to take my type. Oh, I wish it was the other way. All right. And then I paste. I'm going to take it out of all caps by, kind of hate doing it this way. Oh, that's upper and lowercase caps. Oh, I can't. Ah! Can I change case over here? Oh, there we go. If you've ever wondered, like, the difference, if you go to type here and you go to this change case, I believe it does it what we call a little bit more properly than doing with these weird buttons here. These are like somewhat of a fake out. It's an auto setup that, like, if you do this for your all caps, it may not be all properly all caps. It sometimes screws some stuff up. I know that sounds weird, but I tend to never use these buttons down here. I'll use all this information here. So if I want a superset or subset of a type, I will do it using this rather than these. And then I don't ever click on that. I just thought maybe I could get it out of that system. Because I am who I am, and I like my fat, chunky typography, I'm gonna go all the way down the bottom though. Start in reverse. I wish I could remove all of this crap. Oh, maybe I'll do this. That's really hard to read, isn't it? Let's do this one. All right. So this is my idea. Again, I'm going to work from border to border, and I'm going to kind of break some rules by having it all on one line. But I'm not going to center it. I'm going to go back one. All right. I'll put the period in there though. Not in the right spot though. All right. Then I'm going to make this. That big. And I'm going to reduce my leading. So it's a little bit tighter. Get more bang for my buck. That'll work. And I'm going to do this. Oh, no, why did you tab it? That's not right. That's what is supposed to happen. Oh no, it auto numbered this. I don't want auto number. Edit, undo typing. Edit, undo clear. Oh boy. I'm gonna fix it here. See what it added this space, but now it's not letting me adjust that. So I need to maybe, oh, I have to take it off that numbering. But why did it, oh no. Don't auto number it. Okay. I have to find out why the computer system is saying, you know, just because I want a number there, it's like, oh, I'm going to put it in. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to beat the system. Okay. Let's do this instead. I can still do what I want. Oops, the one on that one. Now for these, I'm going to see if I pull a guide and I line it up with the one, you can see the dots go all over the place. And for this, I want my paragraph to be right aligned. So I want all those to be like lined up. Now I can work, I can push the one away. If let's do the tracking. I want the one to not look so far indented. So I'm going to push that out. And then you see what happened? Like, so now the one is there and it looks more in line with all those. And so that's the tracking and kerning. So I can line those up like that. I'm going to line this up like this. And then I'm going to take these last ones. This is going to be really simple. Like sometimes it's just simplicity at its best. Take this. I'm going to drop these down to like 20. And I'm going to do the same with this. I'm going to even go to 10. I'm going to go to 10. I like want them super light. So there it is. That's my piece. And it can be plain and simple and like get the point across. So I'll do a file. I'm going to save as, and I want to see what it looks like. I'm curious about the PDF. So I'm going to just at least do the one PDF, save the cloud storage, and I save this to, I think this goes into my files for 142 under every designer. And this is every 07 SP. 07 underscore SP 26. That stands for spring 26. Save. And then file, export as PDF. This would be client because I want the one without everything. So I go to client, export PDF, and there we go. That's my design. Quick and easy. Just thinking about the type, you know, like there's a reason why I'm like typography only, no images, is for a couple semesters, I was just getting people who are just putting in clip art, like a lot of clip art. And I was like, I'm done with clip art. We need to think more creatively. And so that's all you have to do. Like it tells the story of that little sentence. All with typography and all with just like one color. You can use up to 3 colors. You can use two typefaces. But this is all we need sometimes. Just down and dirty. Like that's it. So What do we got? Is there any questions, comments, or concerns as of now? All right, I'm gonna get through. I don't know if anybody's posted. I think somebody posted to the midweek review. I'll check those around 2 o'clock and get those out to you. And then, like I said, Thursday we'll talk more. I'm still do your work. Still do the assignment. Do your logo variations. Don't not do it because don't know how many people started it. Don't not do it. It's just I want the poster and your logo variations. I'm gonna remove the flyer for now, and then we'll kind of have a repeat, but I need to rewrite it properly, and then we will continue to work over the next couple of weeks. So it shouldn't throw anybody off. And you know what? If you're like, oh man, I already did it all, good for you. We'll still do it and we'll still improve your work, but you're a little bit ahead of the game. So that's all. Cool. That is all for me for today. Yeah, you know how to get a hold of me if you need anything. Please do. If you have questions, comments, concerns, like just hit me up, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right. I look forward. Oh, should I okay, one more thing. Sorry. I'll show you the process. I'll just show you some layers just so you see like the variations. Now that was an idea generator. I think you guys saw that. Like I haven't gotten that far yet. I was working on it. Working on it. Layer group. Okay. This is all just different, like me just trying to figure it out. And then realizing like I needed to fill things in and just kind of do it simpler. And it kind of got to this. Should remove some of the background. So this is kind of like, this is my rendition 1. This is 2. 1 and 2 differ. What was the difference? It's very small. I took out the middles of the letters. So it just kind of grouped it. And then I did a version that's lowercase. It's starting to get a little bit more goofy. Now that I see that one now, I don't like it as much. And then I did I'm trying a reverse one in the lowercase. I think this is still my preferred, but I want to push it a little bit more to get that final. I feel like I want to add maybe one more color in there. I made up the August 12th date. I don't know if that's actually a Sunday. Doesn't 100% matter, but at least I should update that. I'm looking at the 16th. I'll put the 16th. Easy enough to change. So that's where I'm at. I want to play with these a little bit more before Thursday as well. So cool. I just wanted to show you where I was getting on mine, so you have an idea of the they're like minute changes, but they're not just like color only. And those colors that I picked are not final colors. Those are colors that I pick because when I work on top of another design, I switch my color on every layer so I can distinguish what I'm doing. And then I'll go back in later and be like, oh, this is the final design. Now I'll take that design and pull out the color. So hold on. All right, now I'll say goodbye just as the machines start. All right, take care. Have fun. I'm really looking forward to seeing these logos develop, and I want to help develop them even more to make them super strong. And we'll have some really cool Custard Festival brands when we're done. Take care. Bye-bye.